Good afternoon. Good to see everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Michael Burgess was out at our Make-A-Wish and champion of the game. He was out at the practice today, broke us down at the end. That was, like I say, every week. That was pretty, he was excited about it, and so were we. It's our Inspire Change game, the NFL and Bears commitment to social justice. Congrats to our 2023 Inspire Changemaker, Juliana Zavala, Senior Manager of Elementary Sports of CPS, and all she's done for the girls' flag football. So I got a chance to meet her during training camp when all the girls, a lot of the girls in the teams were here. Up on the third floor, and that was exciting. And I'm excited to see that she's been nominated for that award. With injuries in terms of what was on the report, obviously, Coles is working through a quad right now. He's trending in the right direction, so we feel good about that. You guys saw that Deontay Foreman hit was personal, and that's where it was. But he was back at practice today, and you guys saw that Tevin was out with concussion, didn't get through concussion protocol, so that's where that is as well. With that, I'll open up to questions.
You got Foreman down as questionable for the game.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to play, or is there something about the personal issue that might?
I would say I don't know about that. We'll decide that later. Today, we'll talk about substitution review with the coordinators and everybody today with the medical staff and see where everything is, and but we'll work through that for sure.
With your run game, I know one of the first things you mentioned, I think, in your press conference in Cleveland when you came in, you got to run the ball between the tackles a little better. Where do you think your run game is now compared to where you need it to be?
Yeah, it's always about moving people. You have to be able to do that. You got to be able to move people at the line of scrimmage, and you got to be able to, attack the line of scrimmage. And that's done through your lines. So that's both sides of the ball, offense and defensive line. So we just got to really put the onus on our front D line, and the linebackers, and then put the front, put it on the onus on the O line, and they welcome that. That's a challenge for those guys, and that's every week. We have to win the game up front, and it's important that we do it this week.
Is Herbert, does he have the same burst since coming back from the injury that he had before?
Yeah, I've seen it in practice. We're excited to see it in the game, and so is he's been working hard at it. And he works really hard every single week. And the scheme is good this week. I got some good plays in there for him and the other guys to get the ball on the perimeter as well as inside.
When you look at this Cardinals defense, what do you think they do well?
Yeah, they disguise well. They do a really good job with their disguise. JG is big into that, and certainly he's had success when he was at Philly for those 2 years. And Jonathan's a heck of a coach, and he really knows how to scheme people up. He was my defensive back coach, at the Colts, and he did a heck of a job for us there. And then went on, like I said, to Philly, had some dominant defenses there as well. But I would just say the first thing comes to mind would be disguise.
When you guys entered the season, it looked like you were prepared to have this three-headed monster running back between Khalil, Roshan, and Deonta. But for a variety of reasons, most of the year you only had two guys up. The past 2 weeks, though, you did have all three, and it looks a little sluggish. Are there some different challenges between trying to get all three guys going in one game plan versus working with just two?
Yeah, I think when you have a plan, you got to, like we said, always go with the hot hand, that type of thing. But, certainly we have guys that are more slated to the third down package, in the protection part and the passing part, and then obviously Foreman's been a big part of the first and second down, and Herbert's, was obviously injured and coming back from there. And but again, there's been some continuity issues due to injury, in and out, guys in and out. So I think that may be playing a part of it, but certainly look forward to getting it going this week.
And we saw you guys in the pistol a little bit more last week than we had. How much of that was something you liked against that specific defense, and just in general, what do you kind of like about that?
Yeah, it's good because the ball comes straight downhill, in the pistol, and you got to wait, until the ball is snapped to see where the quarterback's opening, to decide where the ball's going. So it's reactionary. Whereas opposed to the back being off to one side, you got only a certain number of plays going that way, to the close side and to the open side. So I like it, because of the direct runness of it and the way it makes the defense read.
Man, I don't know how it works with concussion protocol, but are guys, can you ever judge whether a guy is close or not? Like with Tevin, like sometimes it's just, some guys don't miss a game, some guys miss 3 or 4 games. Do they ever have any indications like if a guy is close, like with a regular injury?
Yeah, there's been guys that were close and you thought were gonna make it, and then, they have that concussion protocol for a reason. There's steps to it, and that's so important that we do it that way because, the guy has to be totally healthy, in regards to his, the head injury, before he can come back. And I think the league does a heck of a job, putting the guys through that protocol and the way the stages work. And, to me, if a guy doesn't pass, then, to the very end, then he should be sitting down and wait until he's 100% okay. Because the most important thing is the player's health. And Tevin seemed fine. He was good, and he's in a great spirits, and he's right on point. But again, he went through one of the tests and didn't pass. But that's okay. We'll see where it is next week.
Could he miss like the last like 2 games after this? Or do you not know that at this point?
You don't. You don't. You really don't. You don't know what that is until he's got to go start over and go through the protocol again. So, and that's good. That's for a good reason.
What ways when you watch film, maybe going up against or having Justin go out there every day, is that prepare you for facing somebody like Kyler Murray? And then maybe what ways is it different?
Yeah, when you're facing a quarterback that has mobility, you certainly have to, account for that, every single play. Because those guys can really hurt you with their legs, in the passing game, and the design runs, So you always got to be accounting for that. Can you do it 100% of the time? I don't think you can, but you have to be close to that. And so we want to be really good at that. And he's prepared us for that, for during training camp and the mini camps that we have, and obviously through OTAs and all that. So it's good to have a guy like that can do that. Give us an example. And the guys tried to simulate, that this week. Nate did, and Tyson did. They did a nice job, and I really want to thank them for the look they gave us this week. The whole look squad.
Yeah, when you have a team, when a team loses like it did last week at this point of the season, for a team that did that, your team seems pretty intent on finishing strong and showing resilience and all that. But and I know you take pride in having a pulse of this team, but are you ever fooled? I mean, how do you know, and how do you feel about the way the team did react and how real it is? And like I said, can you sometimes be fooled by a team, just making you think they're ready when they're not?
Yeah, I mean, our team is resilient, and they're tough-minded guys, and I've said that all along, and we always lean on our relationships with each other, and the trust we have with the brother next to you on the right and on the left, and believing in yourself. And certainly there's things in those performances where if you win the game, obviously you want to perform better because you have things to work on. And it's no different than when you lose the game. You have things that you have to work on. So that's where our mindset always is. When we beat the Lions a couple weeks ago, that was the same mindset. We lost to Cleveland, in the last play, didn't come through on it. And certainly there was a lot of other plays that we could have won that game with, but we focused on the here and now and the brother next to you, and that's what's important.
Over the past 2 weeks, it's been clear you guys have tried to get Darnell Mooney involved, but the connections just haven't been there. How do you either tinker with that or keep plugging away to just try and make something happen over the last 3 games?
Yeah. Darnell's been working hard. He was out with the illness the one day. You guys saw that, but man, he came back, the last 2 days and really had some good practices. And we're excited to get him going, and we're going to keep feeding him the ball. He's had some really good games where he's had a lot of yak yards, and he can really catch, and split the defense. And we're looking forward to that, to seeing that, and we're going to keep feeding him. And that's an important piece to our offense.
Is there any point during the course of the year, maybe in the past or, now, where you go back to the lab and say, can we do something differently to maybe make this more successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do that every week. As a offense, defense, and special teams. We're facing a different set of issues. Circumstances of scheme that we're playing. Obviously the number one job in the NFL is the people that you're playing against. And how do you attack those guys, or how do you defend those guys? And that's what it is. So we're always, so to speak, in the lab, working on that, and it changes every week.
Matt, you guys really haven't gotten the production out of Pickens that you probably imagined when you brought him on. What's been the reason that his development's been kind of slowed?
I would not agree with that. I would say that he's developing well. In fact, I grabbed him in the hallway like I do a lot of guys, and I commended him on his work patterns and how he's really starting to come on. And it's in the details, and I can really see him owning the position, in the run game, and really taking off in the pass. and he had a really nice pressure a couple weeks ago to end that game. And, really loved his hustle and energy on the interception return that Eddie had a key block in that one. So he's doing a lot of good things, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
So would that perhaps lead to more snaps for him over the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, we're always looking to get guys more, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but certainly like to get those young guys as much as they can, because we need the experience. We got a lot of really good first and second year players, that are on this squad, and we have a young squad, overall, but getting those guys that game experience is invaluable.
With Kyler Murray's ability to extend plays, has there been any extra emphasis this week to make sure your defense is ready for that? Obviously, Joe Flacco had a couple where he's able to get outside the pocket.
Yes, absolutely. I'll just go back to the comments I had before is that, you have to be ready for that. In the extension of plays, it's something that the secondary needs to do a good job of when that happens, and then also the front. And your linebackers play a big part of that too. And we worked on it very hard this week. But again, he's a special athlete. He's special in a lot of ways. He's got great arm talent, and the speed and quickness is there like it's always been. And it's a heck of a challenge for our defense.
Matt, when you guys signed TJ and Tremaine in the offseason, you clearly had a vision for what they could be as a pair. It's kind of started to come together here the last month. How have you seen that bond grow?
It's been great. Yeah, it's been great. Those guys are, you guys hear when they're up here, they're just solid individuals, really great, young men. And, that's a tribute really to their families. Those guys come from, really good families. Their parents are awesome. And, it's really cool to see and have those guys as leaders, in the centerpiece of your defense. And you need that, on all sides of the ball, but not only defense, they've been leading our team too. And the chemistry between those guys has been unbelievable. They're really starting to understand the positions, because there's a long history of these positions, it goes way back, to the late 90s and even before that. And there's, we can point to guys that have played that will position and point to guys that have played that Mike position. There's a great tradition that comes along in that with a lot of respect to those guys. And there's a lot of, they have to do a great job of honoring that tradition, and they understand that and they uphold that tradition. So it's been cool to see.